Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is part 2 of the Colin Thompson colour book, Fantastique. And I'm on the water lily page, and I've put a tiny dot of colour from the inktense pencils, and I think that was fuchsia pink. So I'm still using the number 3 Daily Round Rigger. And I'm going to just, with a damp number 3 brush, tease that colour out. I think probably I'll go with a finer brush, number 10. 10-0 would be good. And activate that colour and then extend it out. So activate the colour and then draw it out up the petal. And I'm hoping that's going to give me a nice watercolour effect. I'm sorry he's barking at thin air now. Oh dear me. So this is part 2. So I've got a really nice effect. And again, I didn't use too many different colours. I've just used one colour, and there's the tiniest amount. Now, if you obviously want them to be vibrant, that's fine. But I just wanted. I love these colours, but I'm using them fairly diluted. You know, there's the tiniest amount of colour there, and the damp brush is just teasing that fuchsia pink. So you could get away with having one set of pencils and you've got so many uses. You can use them as a pencil, you can use them as a fairly pale watercolour wash, or you can use them more intensely coloured and have a really vibrant colour. And the fuchsia pink, so you can get some very pale colours with these inktense pencils. So the fuchsia pink is this one. So you've got the very, very, very rich pinky purple to a very pale rose, and then if you use it like this, you can have every colour in between. I'm not quite sure about this dot here. I've got, maybe it was just a little bit too strong, but if you're not happy, again, you can just touch the end of the paintbrush, and you can go in there and be a lot stronger if you want. Just to give them maybe a little bit more colour. You don't have to do them very pale. And you can scrape some of this into a puddle of, if you use one of these, you can scrape some with a craft knife into the bottom, and you can make a wash. And use them as a traditional watercolour, but they will be quite vibrant. But again, it depends on what colours you want. But I think that's quite a nice colour. I wouldn't say that was too intense. So you can use them in lots of different ways. And as I say, if you really wanted to have, and I'm pressing on quite strongly there, and then you have a really deep colour. So you know, you could just buy one set of these pencils and you've got at least 10 colours in each pencil, depending on how diluted you use them. Oh, thank you, Scooby. Thank you very much for joining me. I do understand, everybody. Thanks for popping in. I'm understand everybody has to kind of get on with things. I am recording, hopefully, in part 2, if we don't have any more bark alerts. So this is a little bit faster way of working, but it's still dry, and your page is dead flat, which I like. Now this is a bigger space, and I think we're going to have there's a little yellow cottage, so I think we'll use a little bit of this colour, and maybe a bit of a kind of straw colour, which is in the browns. Bit of mustard colour, I think, on saddle. And then that's obviously a green poplar tree, so we could do with a felt green. So you can colour all the page in first if you want, and then activate it with water, or you can do it individually. And now I did want a felt green kind of couch. And again, I've got a baked earth for the chimney stack to give that a bit of colour. And then I've got this number 3 gold from the Derwent pencil, and as I use that for all the little windows to show a warmth. And then I can activate them with the paintbrushes. So it's a bit of a big brush, this, but if you just, tiniest amount there, and that's still yellow, so I can do that. And then if I want to go up here, I can activate this colour, and I'll have a bit of a highlight on the bottom of that chimney. A damp brush, and just tease that colour around. And it's not probably dark enough, that, so I can just put, I've got a bit of an amber colour there, so let me have a quick look at amber and see what that one does. There's the mustard, where's the amber? I think we'll just have a little bit of that colour under there. So I could just make that like a little tiny cottage, and then activate the thatch, which is a bit paler actually, but never mind. It can be a dark thatch, it doesn't have to be a light thatch. And then we could do with a nice door colour, so I think we'll have a kind of an olivey colour door. I think we'll have olive. And activate the olive colour for the door. And then we need to activate the little tree. So again, it's a really quick, easy, quiet way of working. You could colour the whole page in with all the pencils, and then you could just take a paintbrush and activate them. Later on, and leave the pencils at home. Just trying to think, what colour sofa shall we have? Quite fancy. I normally like greens, but we've got a lot of green there. So we could have a kind of a dark red. So again, nice thing to do is to look through here and decide, what colour sofa would you like. I'm looking for quite a again, the burnt the madder brown looks quite nice. That's kind of a an earthy colour, and an oxide red. I think probably the madder brown would be quite good. So sometimes you find yourself using the same colours because you're kind of drawn to them. So sometimes you've got to be a bit strict with yourself and not use the same ones. I've actually come across the red oxide, so I think possibly the red oxide. So again, I don't have a sharp point, just giving everything a bit of a shade, and then just under here, if you go over it twice, and I'm not going to go on the top because I can take this colour and swipe it over there and get a very natural highlight. But this looks quite good. If you wanted that little bit more, you could just go back again a little bit stronger. And you can use these as pencils as well if you really wanted to. You don't have to activate them, you can actually just use them as a pencil. Especially on a grayscale, because you're not actually doing anything, but you know, it's a flat colour. The work's already been done. It's probably a bit more difficult under here. And so again, a slightly bigger brush, and you start here and just tease that colour round. And there's going to be quite a lot of colour on there, so I can just go across there, and I've just given that a natural highlight without doing anything. So that's always quite good as well. Again, tease the colour out, and then I can make all that colour go down there, so it's going to be really dark. And do take it over the black, because otherwise it doesn't look like it's finished, just something strange. And again, I've gone over there, but I'm going to put a brown underneath it. But if that was watercolour pencil, I could do this and try and get rid of it. But it's not, so it's set because it's an inktense pencil, and when they are activated with water and then dried, they are fast. They will not move again with water or anything else you throw at them. I quite like that colour actually, it's quite a good choice. And if you start at the top, you can then drag this colour down and it becomes naturally darker. Just get a little bit on there, so if it's wet you can sometimes get away with it. And then just in here I'm just using a damp brush just to tease a little bit of colour in there. And now we've finished that. And again, you know, It's not bubble and it's dry. Yes, thanks for popping in. What else have we got? We've got a little house there, and so we could have, although it's actually on fire, I think, so that's not particularly good, but it's on fire, so I would think I might leave that one. There's somebody with an umbrella, so we'll have a bright blue umbrella. And then we'll put a bit of a darker section in that one. And then we have our little person again. So we've got our flesh pink, and just give him a little bit of flesh pink skin tone. And it just gets rid of that stark white. And then a little brush. And you can get a really nice flat colour. So the brolly's done. So there's Charlie. We want some kind of, we need some kind of wallpaper, and again, you know, you can do something like, you know, this kind of thing, and then you can kind of wet it, and it'll stay darker in places than in other places. Although they look like greens, they don't look like reds. So we could possibly do this. Not sure this will work, I've never done this before, but and then we'll just take the brush across. Let's drag that one across there. And that's a little bit damper than I normally do, but hey ho. Put that across there. Just give you a natural bit of something. And we could just probably put, whoops, no, I made a mistake there because that was wet. So that's never a good thing to do. Because if you put the wet pencil into a wet space, you'll get a very solid colour. But maybe it's probably better for that particular area to be a bit dark. But you get a very solid colour. And we've got some mountains there, so I'm just going to put thistle back where thistle belongs. So we could do with a bit of a I think the tan or mustard. Let me have a look at mustard. I think the mustard colour. So we'll have a mustard colour, and we'll draw these little men in mustard. Kind of got a little bit of a mustard thing going on for their. Oh, now hubby's home, so we could have a kind of so there's, and then we'll put amber there. So the top of the steps could be amber. Oh dear, I do apologise, it could be a bark alert. It shouldn't because it's hubby, but we never know. So we'll just put these like this. Scribbling the top. And then that means I can just do the top. So would you like to shut the door, darling, please? Thank you. And then we'll have probably a bit of baked earth under each one. And then that would be quite... Okay, darling. Okay.
Presents are pink. I need to
Okay, darling. There, Samantha, middle drawer upstairs. All the gold papers up there.
Sorry, what?
Middle drawer upstairs. So again, if I just stroke the middle drawer upstairs in that desk, it's got, take it down, it's got the gold paper, scissors, everything for wrapping presents up. Sorry about that. And just stroke these into life. These little monk people. Sam, darling, shut my door, please. Thank you. So they look to be all stroked with colour. So I do apologise about the doors. So if I take that colour across, again it's a bigger space, but it doesn't do anything to it. Stroke that colour across here. And then, sorry, the dog's opened the door again. Goodness gracious me. We have the loudest kettle in the world. And then I can just go back and tease that little bit of sandy colour. Please shut the door, darling. Thank you. Yes, please. No, thank you. I haven't got time.
Come on, come on.
So that was fairly quick. And then we kind of want some cliff kind of colours. So again, have a quick look in my little book through the browns, and I think actually the sepia and the chocolate are quite cool. So we'll get the sepia out. We fancy dark chocolate. So we'll just have a bit of a play with that. So again, you just want to do this and then kind of smush it about. I think that's too chocolatey colour, it's too brown. So it would be the sepia is quite a nice one, and the other one I liked was sepia is the one we want. So, see if you can find sepia ink. So if you put that one down, you can see that's probably more of a cliff colour. So again, just a very, very, very light scribble. You want it quite uniform. And it really was a very light stroke of colour. And as long as you don't have any sharp lines, you won't have any sharp lines. And if you want to do some dark, do another little bit of a covering. And then I want my number 3. Sorry about that. My number 3 brush. Hiding. And the damp brush, I'm just going to tease, and that colour can be teased out. And if you go in the direction of what we're supposed to having, it should look okay. Again, you can just tease a little bit of colour into there. And we've got a bit of a cliff colour. Now, it's a little bit wetter than I'd like, but it's still, only just damp, so just get away with it. This is very good quality paper. You probably couldn't get that thick on the other books, but this one should be okay. And then that last section, and tease that out. So you've got your highlights still, and then tease that out to a really dark. So you put extra down there. And they're almost done. Now we have to draw a very fine line for their staffs. So again, a very number 10 0, and then you can just tease in that bit of colour. And they've all got a little stick. And I'm going to put a little bit of blue sky on there. There is one called, I thought there was a sky blue. Let me have a look, see if we've got a sky blue. I think iris blue is probably the best. And again, just want the gentlest of touches because we don't want any pencil lines. So when we activate this, we want a dead flat colour. Unless you want some clouds in there, but I don't think I've left space for clouds. So have a look. So we've got our blue sky. Then we've got our kind of blue sky and tease that up there to where it's going. And it's a little bit damp, is that, but I could possibly put, if I actually touch that, that's going to go blue, so I need to do it this way. And tease that blue down. So we have a little bit of blue sky. So we now have a metal rocket. There's Charlie's little cage, so again we want brown. I like the bark colour, so we'll have Charlie. And again, a little bit of colour goes a long way with these inktense colours. So this is quite a big brush, but it's only damp, so I can manipulate this colour exactly where I want it. And again, it's a really easy way to work. And then possibly a little bit of a different colour for his nameplate. And these bigger riggers stay a lot damper. Sorry, there's that camera. So Charlie's now got his nameplate. And I did have a little bit of a highlight there, but I'm not sure if I like it, so I can tease a bit of colour across. And he looks a bit of a scamp, so we'll give him a bit of a scamp colour. He's gonna be a little brown scamp in his bed. There we go. There's Charlie. So we need the Seahorse. He's got a brown saddle on, so he can use, there is one called Saddle Brown, so his saddle can be brown. And we're not going to have any peace now. Everybody's kind of... I don't know what colour to do the seahorse. I might have to do him. I think he could be cocoa colour. And this is in the Derwent Graphy tint. And again a damp brush. I'll tease that into here. And if we keep it quite uniform, you'll end up with quite a nice bit of highlight. So for some reason we have a balloon there. So I have a bright balloon. Again, the gentlest of strokes of colour, and then you can activate it into life. Just the tiniest amount of colour. Have a bright blue balloon. Again, you want the gold window. Oops, that's the wrong one. And it's probably some baked earth. And we'll have a little red door on this one. I'm just really carefully stroking this door. Some colour. Goodness me, Alfie. I think I'm going to have to stop recording live because he just ruins everything. He's just a bad puppy. So that looks quite good. I've done quite a lot of that one. There seems to be a tortoise with a shell, and the shell's turning into a tree. So again, that's another unusual one. I shall endeavour to fill that one there. And activate that colour. So you don't need a lot of manipulation with the grayscale, because everything's done for you. You can just put basically a flat colour if you want to, and you end up with quite a nice effect. And just kind of stroke a little bit of colour into the background. And you've got a really nice tree. So I kind of want some red bricks for this. So there is actually a baked earth. I think that's kind of a bricky red kind of colour. not sure what I'm going to do. The little thing sitting on the dustbin. Have a look. So a bit of a scribble where you want the colour to go. And I've left that one because I'm going to do that very pale. So again, a damp brush, and I'm going to tease that colour up into the eaves and then across, and then we can stroke those colour down here, and as long as it's all activated it'll all be set. And then we did put a little bit down around the side. So our little house is almost done. I think we'll just stick a little bit of mustard colour on him to give him a bit of colour, and him as well. I think he's going to be a bit mustardy coloured. I think I want some darker colour for the tree. So thanks for joining me. I hope you're all having fun. This afternoon or morning, depending on where you are. And just activate his shell. And then I can actually just put that little bit onto there if I wanted. Just to give it that pale colour. So it's a very, very quick way of working is this. Now again we want some tiles, but I want, I'm going to do red oxide. I think we'll have red tiles. And a smaller brush. And just activate that colour and tease it into each tile. That should give me a nice effect. And so we have a rocket here. Show what colour I want to do with the rocket. Again, we can have a little yellow porthole because we want to see out. And I could do with possibly the pewter colour. It looks like it's being made of all sorts of things. A little bit of metallic pewter, and it's a bit shiny, but because it's metallic. But if you dampen it, it becomes a nice grey. And that's a bit of a warm grey is that one, so just manipulate that colour around. and all that colour just changes from fairly dull to quite a nice grey. I'm not sure what we're going to do with the background. I might leave that. I haven't decided yet. I always, if it doesn't come to me straight away, I usually leave it and then go back to it, because I haven't decided and I'd rather wait than do it and not like it. So apologies about squeaky doors.
Is the printer on? Could you please turn it in?
So I'll stop part 3. I'll just pan out and show what I've done so far. So the colours look quite nice. Again, it's flat, and it's easy working with just a few pencils and a damp brush. So that's the end of part 2. It's a bit of a short part, but I'll come back shortly and do part 3. Thank you for watching.